Welcome back. I'm Sage, and this is Easy English with Sage.
Okay. So today, wow, we're doing something really exciting. We're going to dive deep into advanced writing, C1 and C2 level writing that's going to transform how you express yourself in English. Ooh, that's interesting, right? Because here's the thing. Many of you can speak English pretty well. You can watch movies, you can chat with friends, but when it comes to writing, professionally or academically, you freeze. You know what you want to say, but getting it onto paper, that's where everything falls apart. Let me think. Yeah, I've seen this hundreds of times. Students tell me, Sage, I understand English, but my writing sounds weird. It's too simple, or it sounds robotic, or it just doesn't feel natural. And today, we're going to fix that together. But before we jump in, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We upload fresh English content every single day, and trust me, you don't want to miss this journey we're on together. This is Easy English with Sage, and I'm here to help you not just learn English, but to actually think, speak, and write in English naturally, like it's part of you. Tell me in the comments right now, have you ever written something in English and thought, this doesn't sound right? Maybe it felt too stiff, too formal, or maybe too casual. Don't worry, you're not alone. And by the end of this lesson, you're going to understand exactly how to craft sentences that flow beautifully, how to choose words that express your exact meaning, and how to develop a writing style that's authentically yours. So what exactly are we going to cover today? We're going to explore how to improve your sentences at the C1 and C2 level, how to upgrade your vocabulary naturally, not by memorizing random difficult words, but by understanding which words fit perfectly in different situations. We're going to develop your writing style so it feels human, genuine, and powerful. Because here's a secret many learners don't realize. Advanced writing isn't about sounding complicated. It's about clarity. It's about precision. It's about making every single word count. Let me share something with you. When I first started teaching advanced writing, I noticed something fascinating. My students could hold amazing conversations. They could debate complex topics, share opinions, express emotions beautifully when speaking. But when I asked them to write those same ideas down, everything changed. They would overthink every sentence, second-guess every word choice, and their writing would come out stiff, unnatural, almost lifeless. And you know what the main problem was? They were translating in their heads. They were thinking in their native language and then trying to convert those thoughts into English words on paper. And that's exactly where the magic gets lost. Advanced writing, real, powerful C1 and C2 writing, requires you to think in English from the very beginning. It requires you to feel the rhythm of English sentences, to understand the subtle differences between words that seem similar, and to develop an instinct for what sounds natural and what doesn't. And that's exactly what we're going to work on today, step by step, naturally, together. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Sage, I'm not at C1 or C2 level yet. Is this lesson for me? Absolutely. Because even if you're at B2 right now, understanding these advanced principles will pull you forward faster than you can imagine. You'll start recognizing these patterns in what you read, and slowly, naturally, they'll start appearing in your own writing. That's how learning works. You expose yourself to the level you want to reach, and gradually your brain adapts. Let's talk about what makes writing truly advanced. It's not just knowing fancy vocabulary or memorizing complicated grammar rules. Advanced writing is built on three fundamental pillars: precision, variety, and flow. Let me break these down for you in a way that makes perfect sense. Precision means choosing the exact right word to convey your meaning. It's the difference between saying, the meeting was good, and saying, The meeting was productive. Both sentences are grammatically correct, right? But one gives your readers so much more information. When you write with precision, every single word carries weight. You're not wasting your readers' time with vague descriptions or unnecessary words. You're getting straight to the point, but in a way that's rich with meaning. Think about it like this. If I tell you, I'm happy, that's nice. But if I tell you, I'm thrilled, or I'm content, or I'm relieved, each of these words paints a completely different picture. Variety is about mixing up your sentence structures, varying your vocabulary, and keeping your reader engaged. Imagine reading a text where every sentence starts the same way. The dog ran, the cat sat, the bird flew. It would be incredibly boring, right? Your brain would just tune out. Advanced writers know how to create rhythm and interest by varying how they express their ideas. Sometimes they use short, punchy sentences for emphasis. Other times, they craft longer, more complex sentences that build on each other, creating a sense of momentum that carries the reader forward through their ideas, pulling them deeper into the text, making them eager to see what comes next. And then there's flow. Wow, this is perhaps the most important element of all. Flow is what happens when your ideas connect seamlessly, when one sentence naturally leads to the next. When your reader can glide through your text without stumbling, without getting confused, without having to reread a sentence 3 times to understand what you mean. Good flow comes from using transition words effectively, organizing your ideas logically, and maintaining a consistent tone throughout your writing. These 3 elements, precision, variety, and flow, they work together like instruments in an orchestra. Each one is important on its own, but when they come together, they create something beautiful. They create writing that people actually want to read. If you're still with me, type yes in the comments. I want to make sure you're getting value from this lesson, and your feedback really helps me create better content for you. Now, let's get practical. I want to teach you specific techniques that you can use right away to improve your writing. And we're going to start with something that might surprise you. The power of simplicity. Yes, you heard that right. Advanced writing doesn't mean making things complicated. In fact, some of the most powerful writing is remarkably simple. The key is knowing when to be simple and when to be complex. Think about this scenario. You're writing an important email to a potential employer, or maybe you're crafting an essay for university, or perhaps you're working on a professional report. What's your first instinct? For many learners, it's to pull out a thesaurus and start replacing simple words with more impressive ones, right? But here's what often happens. You end up using words incorrectly, or you create sentences that sound unnatural, or worst of all, you obscure your meaning instead of clarifying it. Let me give you an example. Say you want to write, "The company's new strategy helped improve sales." Now, you might be tempted to write something like, "The corporation's innovative strategic methodology facilitated the amelioration of commercial transactions." Ha ha ha. Sounds fancy, right? But it's awful. It's trying too hard. The first sentence is clear, direct, and professional. The second sentence is just showing off. And trust me, your reader will notice. They'll think, why is this person trying so hard to sound smart instead of just communicating clearly? So here's my first major tip for you. Use the vocabulary you already know confidently. Don't reach for words you're unsure about just because they sound more academic. Instead, focus on using your existing vocabulary more precisely and effectively. If you know the word improve, use it. You don't need to say ameliorate unless you're absolutely certain that's the right word for the context. Build your vocabulary gradually, naturally, through reading and exposure, not by forcing words into your writing that don't belong there. Now, let's talk about something that will instantly upgrade your writing: varying your sentence structure. This is what separates intermediate writers from advanced writers. Intermediate writers tend to use the same sentence patterns over and over. Advanced writers mix it up, creating a rhythm that keeps readers engaged. There are four main types of sentences you can use. First, we have simple sentences. These have one independent clause, one complete thought. For example, writing requires practice. Short, clear, powerful. Simple sentences are great for emphasis or for stating important facts clearly. When you want to make a point that hits hard, use a simple sentence. It stands out. Then we have compound sentences, which join two independent clauses together. Writing requires practice, and reading improves your skills. See how I connected two related ideas? This creates a sense of flow and shows the relationship between concepts. You're telling your reader, these two things are connected. They're equally important. Next are complex sentences, which combine an independent clause with a dependent clause. Although writing requires practice, many people avoid it because they fear making mistakes. Now we're getting more sophisticated, showing cause and effect, adding nuance to our ideas. We're not just stating facts, we're explaining relationships, we're showing why things happen. Finally, we have compound complex sentences, which combine multiple independent clauses with at least one dependent clause. Although writing requires practice, many people avoid it, and they miss opportunities to improve their skills. These sentences are the most sophisticated, but they need to be used carefully. Too many of them and your writing becomes exhausting to read. The secret is mixing these up. Let me show you what I mean with an example. Imagine we're writing about learning English. Here's a paragraph using mostly simple sentences. English is difficult. Many people struggle with writing. They feel frustrated. They give up. Now watch what happens when we vary the structure. Learning English can be challenging, especially when it comes to writing. Many learners struggle because they fear making mistakes, and this fear often leads to frustration. However, mistakes are not failures. They're opportunities to learn. When you embrace this mindset, your progress accelerates dramatically. See the difference? Both paragraphs express similar ideas, but the second one flows naturally, sounds more sophisticated, and is actually more enjoyable to read. That's the power of varying your sentence structure. You create rhythm. You create music with your words. Tell me in the comments, which sentence structure do you use most often in your writing? Are you a simple sentence person, or do you love those long, complex structures? There's no wrong answer, but awareness is the first step to improvement. All right, quick break. Did you subscribe yet? I'm watching you. But seriously, subscribing really helps you stay consistent with your English learning, and consistency is the key to reaching that advanced level. Every day, a little bit of practice, a little bit of exposure, and before you know it, you're thinking in English without even trying. Now, let's talk about vocabulary, but not in the way you might expect. Many students think that improving vocabulary means memorizing long lists of difficult words. But here's what actually works. Learning to use transition words and phrases like a native speaker. These little connectors, these small but powerful words, are what give your writing that professional polish. They're like bridges that connect your ideas, showing your reader exactly how your thoughts relate to each other. When you master transition words, your writing flows like a river instead of jumping around like a confused rabbit. When you want to add information, instead of always using also or and, try these alternative words: furthermore, moreover, in addition, additionally, or besides. Each of these has a slightly different feel, Furthermore, sounds quite formal and is perfect for academic writing. Moreover, is similar, but slightly less formal. In addition, is versatile and works in almost any context. Additionally, is professional without being stuffy. Besides, is more conversational, but still perfectly acceptable in semi-formal writing. When you want to show contrast, you have options beyond just but. Try, however, nevertheless, nonetheless, on the other hand, in contrast, or conversely. However is your go-to formal connector. It's like the Swiss Army knife of contrast words. Nevertheless and nonetheless are synonyms that mean despite what was just said. They're powerful for showing that you're acknowledging a counterpoint, but standing firm in your position. On the other hand, introduces an alternative viewpoint. It's like saying, but look at it from this angle. In contrast, highlights differences clearly. Conversely, shows opposite situations. When A happens, B occurs. But conversely, when C happens, D occurs. For showing cause and effect, move beyond so and because. Use therefore, consequently, as a result, thus, hence, or for this reason. Therefore and thus are quite formal. You'll see them a lot in academic writing. Consequently and as a result work in both formal and semi-formal contexts. Hence is formal and slightly old-fashioned, but still used in academic writing, especially in mathematics and logic. For this reason is clear and professional, and it sounds very natural. When you want to give examples, don't just say like or for example every time. Try for instance, to illustrate, namely, specifically, or in particular. Each adds a different nuance to your writing. For instance is slightly more formal than for example. To illustrate signals that you're about to paint a picture with your example. Namely, introduces a specific clarification. Specifically narrows down to particular details. In particular, emphasizes one example among many. Here's the beautiful thing about these transitions. They don't just connect your ideas, they show the relationship between them. They guide your reader through your thinking process. They make your writing feel cohesive and professional. And once you start using them naturally, they become automatic. You won't have to think about them. They'll just flow naturally as you write, like breathing. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily practice. It helps you stay motivated. And speaking of staying motivated, let me tell you something important. Learning to write at an advanced level isn't about being perfect from day one. Every time you write something, you're building those mental pathways. You're training your brain to think in English patterns. You're developing that instinct for what sounds right. Now let's address something that holds many writers back. The fear of being too wordy. Ooh, this is such a common problem. Students often think that longer sentences and more words make them sound smarter. But actually, the opposite is true. Advanced writing is concise. It says what needs to be said using as few words as necessary without sacrificing meaning or clarity. Let me show you what I mean. Here's a wordy sentence. Due to the fact that the weather was experiencing a state of being quite cold, we made the decision to remain inside the house. Count those words. That's 23 words to express a very simple idea. Now watch this. Because it was cold, we decided to stay inside. 9 words. Same meaning, much clearer, much more professional. The wordy version uses phrases like due to the fact that, just use because. Experiencing a state of being, just use was. Made the decision to remain, just use decided to stay. These are what we call filler phrases. They take up space without adding meaning. They're like empty calories in food. They fill you up but give you no nutrition. Here are some common wordy phrases and their concise alternatives. Instead of at this point in time, say now. Instead of in order to, say to. Instead of it is important to note that, Just state your point directly. Instead of has the ability to, say can. Instead of make an assumption, say assume. Instead of conduct an investigation, say investigate. Every time you remove unnecessary words, your writing becomes stronger. It becomes more direct. It becomes more confident. And confidence in your writing translates to credibility. People trust writers who can express complex ideas simply and clearly. When you write concisely, you're showing respect for your reader's time. You're saying, I value your attention, so I'm not going to waste it with unnecessary words. But, and this is important, being concise doesn't mean being simplistic. You can write concisely while still expressing sophisticated ideas. The trick is choosing precise vocabulary and eliminating redundancy. Every word in your sentence should serve a purpose. If you can remove a word without changing the meaning, remove it. Let me give you a challenge. After you finish watching this video, let me think. After you finish, take something you've written recently and go through it looking for wordy phrases. How many can you eliminate? How much tighter can you make your writing? This exercise alone can dramatically improve your writing quality. I'm serious. Try it. You'll be amazed at how much stronger your writing becomes. Tell me in the comments, which wordy phrase do you find yourself using most often? Is it in order to instead of to? Is it due to the fact that instead of because? Awareness is the first step to change, my friend. Now, let's talk about something that's absolutely crucial for advanced writing, understanding the power of active versus passive voice. Okay, this is something that confuses many learners, so let me make it crystal clear. Active voice means the subject of your sentence performs the action. The researcher conducted the experiment. The researcher is doing something, conducting. It's clear, it's direct, it's powerful. Passive voice means the subject receives the action. The experiment was conducted by the researcher. Now the experiment is the subject, but it's not doing anything. Something is being done to it. It's less direct. It's wordier. It's weaker. In general, active voice is stronger, clearer, and more direct. The committee approved the proposal is better than the proposal was approved by the committee. Active voice makes your writing more engaging and easier to read. It puts the focus on who's doing what, which makes your writing feel more alive, more dynamic. However, and this is where it gets interesting, passive voice has its place. It's useful when the action is more important than who did it. The building was constructed in 1850. We don't care who built it. We care when it was built. The building and its age are the important information here. It's also useful when you don't know who performed the action. The documents were stolen. We don't know who stole them. Or maybe we're deliberately not saying who stole them for legal or diplomatic reasons. And it's useful in scientific writing when you want to emphasize the research, not the researcher. The samples were analyzed for contamination. In scientific writing, the focus is on what was done, not on who did it, because the goal is objectivity and replicability. The problem is that many learners overuse passive voice, making their writing feel weak and indirect. If you find yourself using passive voice, ask yourself, is there a good reason for this, or would active voice be clearer? Most of the time, active is better. Here's a quick way to check. If your sentence includes the phrase was verbed by, you're probably in passive voice, and you can probably make it active. The report was written by the team becomes the team wrote the report. Stronger, clearer, more direct. See? If you're enjoying this masterclass and finding it helpful, don't forget to share it with friends who are also learning English. We're building a community of learners here, and the more we support each other, the faster we all improve. Learning together is so much more powerful than learning alone. Now, let's talk about something that will truly elevate your writing: developing your own voice and style. Wow, that's nice, right? This is the difference between writing that's technically correct and writing that's genuinely compelling. Your voice is what makes your writing uniquely yours. It's the personality that shines through your words. Finding your voice doesn't happen overnight. It develops gradually as you write more and more. But there are things you can do to speed up this process. First, read widely. Not just textbooks or grammar guides, but read different types of writing. Read formal academic papers. Read casual blog posts. Read newspaper articles. Read novels. Read everything. And as you read, pay attention to how different writers express themselves. What do you like? What feels natural to you? What resonates with your personality? Second, write regularly. And I mean really regularly. Write about anything: your day, your thoughts, your opinions on current events, your dreams, your frustrations, your observations about the world. Just write. The more you write, the more comfortable you become with expressing yourself, and gradually your natural voice emerges. Third, don't try to sound like someone else. I know it's tempting to imitate writers you admire, but imitation only takes you so far. The goal is to learn from others and then develop your own style. Maybe you're naturally more formal. Maybe you're more conversational. Maybe you're direct and to the point. Maybe you like to build up to your main idea gradually. All of these approaches are valid. The question is, which one is authentically you? Your voice should match your purpose and audience, of course. If you're writing a formal academic paper, you'll dial down the conversational elements. If you're writing a blog post, you might inject more personality and humor. But underneath these adjustments, there should be a consistent core that's recognizably yours. Here's something interesting. Your voice in writing can actually be different from your speaking voice, and that's perfectly okay. Writing gives you time to think, to revise, to craft your expression more carefully than you can in spoken conversation. Some people who are quiet in person become eloquent on the page. Others who are chatty in conversation write with surprising precision and brevity. The key is authenticity. Write in a way that feels true to who you are. Don't use words you would never say out loud unless there's a good reason. Don't adopt a personality that doesn't fit you. Be yourself, but be your best self. The self that takes time to choose words carefully, organize thoughts logically, and express ideas clearly. All right, let me ask you something. Which sentence was your favorite so far? Drop it in the comments. I love hearing what resonates with you, what sticks in your mind, what makes you think, yes, that's exactly what I needed to hear. Now, let's get into something really practical: how to write powerful opening sentences. The first sentence of any piece of writing is crucial. It's your hook. It's what grabs your reader's attention and makes them want to continue reading. A weak opening sentence can lose your reader before you've even started. Here are some techniques for creating strong openings. First, you can start with a surprising fact or statistic. 90% of people never achieve fluency in a foreign language despite years of study. Immediately, readers want to know why, and they want to make sure they're in the 10%, not the 90%. It creates curiosity and a slight sense of urgency. Second, you can start with a question that engages the reader. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to learn languages effortlessly while others struggle for years? This immediately makes readers think about their own experience and draws them into your text. They're already engaged because you've made it personal. Third, you can start with a bold statement. Everything you've been taught about writing is wrong. This creates curiosity. The reader wants to know what you mean and whether they agree with you. It's provocative, and provocation, when done thoughtfully, grabs attention. Fourth, you can start with a vivid image or scenario. Picture yourself sitting in an important meeting, struggling to express your ideas in writing, while your colleagues produce polished, professional documents in half the time. This creates an emotional connection. Readers who have experienced this situation will immediately relate. They'll think, yes, that's exactly how I feel. Fifth, you can start with a relevant quote. As George Orwell wrote, good prose is like a window pane, clear, transparent, allowing your ideas to shine through without obstruction. This lends authority to your writing and provides a framework for your discussion. The technique you choose depends on your purpose and audience. But whatever you choose, make it count. Your opening sentence should make a promise to your reader, a promise that the rest of your text will be worth their time. And then, of course, you need to deliver on that promise. This is where organization becomes crucial. Your ideas need to flow logically from beginning to end, with each paragraph building on the previous one and leading naturally to the next. Here's a structure that works for almost any type of writing. Start with an introduction that grabs attention and states your main idea or thesis. Then, develop your ideas in body paragraphs, with each paragraph focusing on one specific point that supports your main idea. Use topic sentences to introduce each paragraph. These are sentences that state the main point of the paragraph clearly. For example, the most important element of advanced writing is clarity. That's your topic sentence. It tells the reader exactly what this paragraph is going to be about. Follow each topic sentence with supporting details, examples, or evidence that develop your point. If your topic sentence says clarity is most important, your supporting sentences might explain why, give examples of clear versus unclear writing, and show the benefits of clarity. Then conclude each paragraph by connecting back to your main idea or transitioning to the next point. This creates cohesion. Your reader never gets lost because each paragraph clearly relates to your overall purpose. Finally, end with a conclusion that doesn't just repeat what you've said, but synthesizes your ideas and perhaps offers a new perspective or a call to action. A strong conclusion leaves the reader with something to think about. This structure, introduction, body paragraphs with clear topic sentences, conclusion, works whether you're writing a 5-paragraph essay for school or a complex professional report. It's a framework you can rely on. And within that framework, you can be as creative as you want with your voice, your vocabulary, and your style. Tell me in the comments, do you usually plan your writing before you start, or do you just dive in? There's no wrong answer, but I'm curious to know your approach. Some people need detailed outlines. Others discover their ideas as they write. Both approaches can work, but knowing your own style helps you work more effectively. Now, let's talk about something that many advanced learners struggle with: using descriptive language effectively. Descriptive writing isn't just about adding adjectives everywhere. It's about creating vivid images in your reader's mind, using precise, specific details. Compare these two sentences: the weather was bad versus dark clouds gathered on the horizon as the wind picked up, carrying the scent of rain. The first sentence tells us something. The second sentence shows us something. It engages multiple senses, sight, touch, smell, and creates a much more vivid picture. This principle of show, don't tell is fundamental to good descriptive writing. Instead of telling your reader that someone was nervous, show them. Her hands trembled as she shuffled her papers, and she cleared her throat 3 times before speaking. We don't need to be told she's nervous. We can see it, feel it. Instead of saying a room was messy, show it. Clothes draped over every chair, books sprawled across the floor, and dirty dishes teetered in precarious stacks on the desk. Now your reader can visualize the exact state of that room. But here's the catch. You need to balance description with pacing. Too much description can slow your writing down and bore your reader. Too little, and your writing feels flat and unengaging. The key is to use descriptions strategically, focusing on details that matter to your meaning. Ask yourself, what is the purpose of this description? If you're describing a setting, choose details that create the atmosphere you want. Details that reveal character, set the mood, or advance your narrative. If you're describing a process, choose details that help your reader understand each step clearly. If you're describing an idea or concept, choose examples that illuminate rather than obscure your meaning. And here's an advanced technique. Use fresh, unexpected language in your descriptions. Avoid cliches like as busy as a bee or white as snow. These phrases have been used so often that they've lost their impact. They're invisible. Readers' eyes just slide over them without really registering them. Instead, create your own comparisons. Think about what you're really trying to convey and find a unique way to express it. For example, instead of "she was as happy as a clam," you might write, "she glowed with the kind of happiness that makes everyone around her smile without knowing why." It's more specific, more vivid, more interesting, more memorable. This applies to professional and academic writing too. Even in formal contexts, you can use description to make your writing more engaging. Describe research findings with specific details. Describe business situations with concrete examples. Describe abstract concepts with clear analogies. The goal is always the same: to help your readers see what you see, understand what you understand. Don't forget to like this video if you're finding it helpful. Your likes help other English learners find this content too. And together, we can help more people improve their English writing skills. Now, let's address something that plagues even advanced writers: common grammatical errors that can undermine your credibility. I'm not going to give you a comprehensive grammar lesson, that would take hours. But I want to highlight a few key areas where even proficient writers sometimes slip up. First, subject-verb agreement. This seems basic, but it gets tricky with complex subjects. The collection of paintings is valuable, not are. The subject is collection, which is singular, even though we're talking about multiple paintings. Neither the teacher nor the students are ready, not is. When you have neither nor, the verb agrees with the subject closest to it, which is students, plural. Second, pronoun agreement. Every student should bring their book is now widely accepted in informal English, especially because it avoids the awkward his or her. But in formal academic writing, you might still want to restructure. Students should bring their books. The challenge is maintaining number agreement while avoiding sexist language. Third, the dreaded comma splice, joining two complete sentences with just a comma. I love writing. It helps me express myself. This is incorrect. You need either a period, a semicolon, or a conjunction. I love writing. It helps me express myself. Or, I love writing because it helps me express myself. Fourth, misplaced modifiers. Walking down the street, the trees looked beautiful. This suggests the trees were walking. It should be, walking down the street, I noticed the beautiful trees, or the trees looked beautiful as I walked down the street. Fifth, inconsistent tense. If you start in the past, stay in the past, unless there's a good reason to shift. Yesterday I went to the store and buy some bread should be, yesterday I went to the store and bought some bread. These might seem like small issues, but they matter. They matter because they distract your reader from your ideas. When a reader encounters a grammatical error, they pause, even if only for a fraction of a second, and that pause breaks the flow of your writing. Worse, repeated errors can make readers question your credibility. If you can't master basic grammar, they might think, "Why should I trust your analysis or arguments?" The good news is that most of these errors are easy to catch if you proofread carefully. Read your work out loud. You'll often hear mistakes that you don't see. Or better yet, read it backwards, sentence by sentence. This forces you to focus on the structure of each sentence rather than the flow of ideas, making it easier to spot errors. Let me think. What other critical elements should we cover? Oh yes, the art of editing and revision. This is where good writing becomes great writing. Your first draft is just that, a draft. It's your ideas getting onto the page. Your second, third, and even fourth drafts are where you refine those ideas, polish your language, and perfect your structure. Many learners resist revision because they think it means their first attempt wasn't good enough, but that's not how professional writers think. Professional writers expect to revise. They embrace revision as an essential part of the writing process. Hemingway supposedly said, "The first draft of anything is garbage." And while that's perhaps a bit harsh, the sentiment is important. You can't expect perfection from your first attempt. When you revise, work in stages. First, look at the big picture. Is your overall structure logical? Does each paragraph support your main idea? Are your ideas arranged in the most effective order? This is macro-level revision, looking at the forest, not the trees. Then zoom in to the paragraph level. Does each paragraph have a clear topic sentence? Do the supporting sentences actually support that topic? Is there a logical flow from one sentence to the next? Are your transitions smooth? Next, examine your sentences. Are they varied in structure? Are they clear and concise? Have you eliminated wordiness? Is your voice consistent? Finally, check the micro level: grammar, punctuation, spelling. This is proofreading, and it's the last step. Because there's no point in perfecting the grammar of a sentence you might end up deleting during structural revision. Here's a powerful revision technique. Put your writing away for a day or two before you revise it. Come back to it with fresh eyes, and you'll see things you missed before. Unclear passages, awkward phrasing, logical gaps. Distance gives you perspective. Another technique: read your writing as if you're someone else, your intended reader. Does everything make sense? Is anything confusing? This shift in perspective can reveal problems you'd never notice otherwise. If you're still watching, give me a yes in the comments. We're making such great progress, and I'm so proud of you for sticking with this advanced content. This is how you improve, not by looking for shortcuts, but by really diving deep into understanding how language works. Now, let's talk about something that's particularly challenging for non-native speakers: developing a natural, idiomatic writing style. This doesn't mean using idioms constantly. In fact, in formal writing, you should use them sparingly. It means writing in a way that feels natural to native speakers, that flows with the rhythm and patterns of English. One key to this is reading extensively in English. The more you read, the more you internalize the natural patterns of English expression. You start to develop an ear for what sounds right and what sounds awkward, even if you can't always explain why. It's like learning music. After enough exposure, you can tell when something's off-key, even if you don't know music theory. Pay attention to common collocations, words that naturally go together. Native speakers don't do a mistake, they make a mistake. They don't say a speech, they give a speech or make a speech. They don't have big rain, they have heavy rain. These collocations aren't always logical, but they're predictable once you know them. Also, pay attention to preposition usage. This is one of the trickiest aspects of English for learners. You depend on something, rely on something, count on something, all use on. But you trust in something. There's no logic to it, it's just how English works. The good news is that the more you read and write, the more these patterns become automatic. Another aspect of natural writing is using appropriate register, matching your level of formality to your context. In an academic paper, you wouldn't write, "The data shows that this theory is pretty much right." You'd write, "The data supports this theoretical framework," or "The data validates this hypothesis." In an email to a friend, you wouldn't write, "I would like to inquire whether you might be available for social interaction this weekend." You'd write, "Want to hang out this weekend?" Understanding register means knowing when to use contractions, when to use phrasal verbs versus Latinate verbs, give up versus surrender, when to use colloquial expressions, and when to stick to formal language. This comes from exposure and practice. Here's something that might surprise you. Even at the advanced level, it's okay to occasionally struggle with these nuances. Native speakers themselves sometimes have to think about which preposition is correct, or whether a particular phrase sounds natural. The difference is that they've had a lifetime of exposure to help them develop their intuition. As a learner, you're building that intuition through conscious study and practice, and that's completely valid. One more thing about natural writing: don't be afraid of personality. Even in formal writing, you can have a voice. Academic writing doesn't have to be dry and lifeless. Business writing doesn't have to be cold and impersonal. Find ways to inject appropriate personality into your writing. Use vivid examples. Make thoughtful word choices. Vary your sentence rhythm. Create emphasis or structure. These subtle touches make your writing feel more human and engaging. All right, let's talk about something practical that you can implement immediately. Creating a personal style guide. This is a document where you keep track of your common errors, your favorite transition words, your go-to sentence structures, useful phrases for different contexts, and any other writing wisdom you accumulate. For example, you might note, "I tend to overuse also." Remember to vary with "furthermore," "moreover," "in addition." Or, "I always forget. It's interested in, not interested to." Or, strong opening phrases for professional emails. "I am writing to," "I would like to," "thank you for." Or, topic sentence starters. One significant aspect is, a crucial factor involves, an important consideration concerns. This style guide becomes your personal reference, customized to your specific needs. Review it before you write, and update it as you learn new things. Over time, the items in your style guide become automatic, and you can add new, more advanced elements. This is particularly useful for professional or academic writing, where you might need to maintain consistency across multiple documents. Your style guide can include formatting preferences, citation styles, vocabulary choices specific to your field, and any other elements that define your personal or professional writing standards. Wow, that's nice, right? Having your own reference guide that grows with you, that becomes more sophisticated as you become more sophisticated. It's like having a personal writing coach available whenever you need it. Now, let's address something important: handling feedback on your writing. This can be emotionally challenging, especially when you've put a lot of effort into a piece of writing and someone points out problems. But feedback is invaluable. It's how you grow. It's how you see your writing through someone else's eyes and discover blind spots you'd never notice on your own. When you receive feedback, resist the urge to defend your choices immediately. Instead, try to understand what the feedback is really telling you. If someone says a passage is confusing, it doesn't matter whether you think it's clear. What matters is that your reader found it confusing, which means it needs work. If someone suggests a different word choice, consider it seriously, even if you initially like your original choice better. Maybe they're right. Maybe their suggestion is actually clearer or more precise. At the same time, remember that not all feedback is equally valuable. Consider the source. Is this person qualified to comment on your writing? Do they understand your purpose and audience? Are they offering constructive criticism or just personal preference? Sometimes you'll receive conflicting feedback from different readers. When that happens, you need to use your judgment about which feedback to incorporate. Here's a useful approach. Categorize feedback into 3 types. First, must fix. These are clear errors or serious problems that undermine your writing. Second, should consider. These are suggestions that would improve your writing but aren't absolutely necessary. Third, personal preference. These are stylistic choices where reasonable people could disagree. Always address the must-fix items. Seriously consider the should consider items. And feel free to ignore the personal preference items if they don't align with your vision for the piece. And here's something crucial. Seek feedback from the right people. If you're writing academically, get feedback from someone familiar with academic writing. If you're writing professionally, get feedback from colleagues in your field. If you're writing creatively, find other writers who understand the craft. The more qualified your readers, the more valuable their feedback. Tell me in the comments, do you usually ask others to read your writing, or do you prefer to work alone? Both approaches are valid, but getting outside perspectives can really accelerate your improvement. Let me share something with you that transformed my own writing. The concept of writing with authority. Writing with authority doesn't mean being arrogant or claiming to know everything. It means presenting your ideas confidently, backing them up with evidence or reasoning, and expressing yourself clearly without excessive hedging. Compare these 2 sentences. It seems like maybe this approach might possibly be somewhat effective in certain situations, versus this approach is effective when applied correctly. The first sentence is so hedged with uncertainty that it conveys no confidence at all. The second is clear and direct, while still allowing for nuance. When applied correctly, acknowledges that context matters. Many non-native speakers hedge excessively because they're worried about seeming overconfident or making absolute claims. But excessive hedging makes your writing weak and your ideas seem uncertain. Instead, make clear claims and then support them with evidence or reasoning. That said, there's a place for appropriate hedging in academic writing. Words like suggests, indicates, appears to, and may are useful when you're dealing with incomplete evidence or when you want to acknowledge limitations. The key is using them strategically, not reflexively. Another aspect of writing with authority is eliminating self-doubt from your prose. Don't write, "I think," or "in my opinion," unless necessary. When you make a claim in your writing, it's already implied that it's your view. Writing, "I think this approach is effective," is weaker than simply writing, "This approach is effective." The first version draws attention to you and your uncertainty. The second version draws attention to the idea itself. Similarly, avoid apologetic language. Don't write, "I might be wrong, but," or "This is just my personal view, but." If you believe something strongly enough to write it, present it confidently. If you don't believe it, don't write it. This confidence in writing comes from thorough preparation and deep understanding of your topic. When you've done your research, when you've thought through your ideas carefully, when you've organized your thoughts logically, you can present them with natural authority. All right, we're approaching the end of our masterclass, and I want to talk about something fundamental: Why writing matters in our digital age. Writing is more important than ever. Every email, every text message, every social media post, every professional document is a reflection of you. Your writing represents you when you're not there to speak for yourself. In professional contexts, strong writing skills can set you apart. When everyone in the room can speak English well, but you're the one who can also write clear, compelling proposals, reports, or presentations, you become invaluable. When your colleagues struggle to express their ideas in writing, but you can craft emails that get responses and documents that get approved, you advance in your career. In academic contexts, writing is how you demonstrate your understanding, how you develop and refine your thinking, how you contribute to your field. The ability to write clearly and persuasively about complex ideas is a cornerstone of academic success. And beyond professional and academic benefits, writing is a tool for thinking. When you write, you clarify your own thoughts. You discover connections you hadn't seen before. You work through problems. You explore ideas. Writing isn't just about communicating with others. It's about communicating with yourself, about understanding your own mind more deeply. This is why developing strong writing skills is worth the effort. It's not just about passing exams or getting jobs, though it helps with both. It's about becoming a clearer thinker, a more effective communicator, a more influential person in whatever field you choose to pursue. And here's the beautiful thing. Every piece you write makes you a better writer. Every mistake you correct teaches you something. Every time you revise, you develop your editorial eye. Every time you receive feedback and incorporate it, you grow. Writing is a skill that improves with practice, and there's no upper limit to how good you can become. So keep writing. Write daily if you can. Write about topics you care about. Write for different purposes and audiences. Write badly at first. Everyone does. And then revise until it's good. Write and rewrite again. Write until the words flow naturally, until you stop translating and start thinking directly in English, until your voice emerges clear and confident on the page. Remember, every advanced writer started as a beginner. Every writer you admire struggled with the same challenges you're facing now. The difference is that they kept going. They kept writing, kept learning, kept improving. And you can too. Now, before we wrap up, I want to give you one final powerful piece of advice that will serve you throughout your writing journey. Write for yourself first, then for your reader. What I mean is this: don't write what you think your teacher wants to hear, or what your boss expects, or what will impress people. Write what you genuinely think, believe, and understand. Write your authentic thoughts in your authentic voice. When you write authentically, something magical happens. Your writing becomes more engaging because readers can feel the genuine passion or interest behind your words. Your writing becomes more memorable because it's not generic, it's specifically yours. Your writing becomes more persuasive because authenticity is convincing in a way that manufactured arguments never are. This doesn't mean ignoring your audience. It means finding the overlap between what you genuinely want to say and what your audience needs to hear. It means expressing your ideas in a way that serves both your truth and your reader's understanding. And here's something liberating. You don't have to be perfect. Even professional writers, even the most polished published prose, contains imperfections. What matters is not perfection, but communication. Did you convey your meaning clearly? Did you engage your reader? Did you support your ideas effectively? If yes, then your writing succeeded, even if there's a comma out of place somewhere. So release the pressure of perfection. Embrace the process of improvement. Accept that you'll make mistakes. Everyone does. And see those mistakes as opportunities to learn rather than failures to fear. The writers who improve most rapidly are not those who never make mistakes, but those who learn from them most effectively. Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? This whole journey of becoming an advanced writer is less about reaching some final destination and more about constantly evolving, constantly improving, constantly discovering new dimensions of expression. Let me leave you with this thought. Every time you sit down to write, you're practicing courage. You're putting your thoughts onto the page where they can be seen, evaluated, criticized. That takes bravery. You're wrestling with a language that isn't your mother tongue, trying to express complex ideas with vocabulary and structures that don't come naturally yet. That takes determination. You're committing to improvement, to growth, to becoming better than you were yesterday. That takes dedication. So give yourself credit. Acknowledge how far you've come. If you're watching this Advanced Writing Masterclass and understanding it, you're already well beyond the beginner level. You've already accomplished something remarkable. And with continued practice, with consistent effort, with the techniques and principles we've discussed today, you'll continue to improve. Your writing journey is unique to you. Your voice is yours alone. Your combination of experiences, perspectives, knowledge, and personality creates a writing style that no one else in the world has. And that's not just okay, that's beautiful. Don't try to be someone else. Be yourself, but be your clearest, most articulate, most effective self. Write with confidence, write with clarity, write with purpose. And most importantly, write regularly, because every time you write, you're not just creating a document, you're developing a skill that will serve you for the rest of your life in ways you can't even imagine yet. Thank you for joining me in this Advanced Writing Masterclass. I'm Sage, and this has been Easy English with Sage. I believe in you. I believe in your potential to become an exceptional writer. And I hope that this lesson has given you the tools, the techniques, and the confidence to take your writing to that C1, C2 level and beyond. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already, because we're in this journey together. Leave a comment telling me which tip from today's lesson you'll implement first. And keep practicing, keep writing, keep improving. Your voice matters, your words matter, and the world needs what you have to say. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep believing in yourself. And most importantly, keep writing. You've got this, my friend. You absolutely have got this.